Hello and welcome to a new episode of AUCTV. This is Rihab Ismail. Today we have very interesting reports from in-campus and all around Egypt. In the second part, we will have an interview with VP Ayman Abdellatif, Senior Vice President for Administration, Planning and Transformation at AUC. Stay tuned and let's start with our first report. Nakhki Protected Area is one of the best tourist destinations in Egypt. It has an outstanding marine life and natural life. More in the next report with Walaa Ghanem.
Between Sharm el-Sheikh and Dahab in the South Sinai Governorate locates Nakhki Protected Area. 600 square kilometers is its space and declared as Natural Protected Area in 1992. Along its spacious area, the desert-like style and mountains with their sand dunes are striking features of the place. This protected area is custodian for many plants, birds immigration, animals, and reptiles as well.
شهر 9 ده المفروض هجرة الطيور. كل بيت الطيور تتجه دلوقتي جنوب. كله بيروح جنوب. أول ما يخلص فصل الشتاء بترجع تاني. بتروح شمال. وموسم الصقور برضه دلوقتي. يعني في النجع الأبيض وفي نوع تاني مخطط. يعني الطيور كتير وفي منها وز بنلاقيه بس ده ما بيقعدش هنا ياخد استراحة وبيمشي في المحمية. بيكمل على طول.
The protected area is famous of its plethora of the included plants. Those plants are estimated at 134 species, of whom 86 species are extinct in other places along the Red Sea, but here, one of those rare plants is the mangrove trees.
طبعا نظافة أول بأول. لو حضرتك شفت الكيكات والحاجات دي في الشباب إحنا بنطلع لو أي هواء أو أي زبالة والحاجات دي ما ينفعش أي حد يرمي حاجة هنا في المية، لأن حضرتك زي ما أنت شايفة هو خلف بحيرة والفتحة دي بتاعت المية، فهو عامل يعني البحيرة دي فده مكاننا وأكل عيشنا، فلو إحنا مش هنحافظ عليه محدش هيجي يحافظ لنا عليه.
Mangrove trees are living amid salty water and they act like filters which desalinate water through their leaves and are considered a suitable habitat for some kinds of fishes and invertebrates.
لا المنجروف بالنسبة له يعني شجر يعني بينبت زي ما حضرتك شايفة في نص البحر، بيمتص يعني من البحر دوت المياه المالحة بيمتص أكبر كمية عذوبية من المياه العذبة وبيطلع الأملاح عندنا، يعني بيطرد الأملاح بتلم عليه مثلا اللي هو الجيلي فيش اللي هي الجناديل بتاعت البحر، وبينمو. يعني ده يكاد يكون المكان الوحيد، خلاص هو يعتبر انقرض والمكان الوحيد هنا وعلى في النب محمية النب اللي تتميز بالشجر المنجروف حتى الآن، يعني ما فيش.
The evergreen arak trees are another sort of the distinguished plants here in Nakhki. They are in the biggest grouping of its kind. Noteworthy that these trees contribute to the stability of these sand dunes. Moreover, the Bedouins are using its wooden branches as miswak for teeth cleaning.
بالنسبة للشجر الأراك وبنستخدمه في المسواك. بنطلع المسواك، في ناس بتجيبه لينا والعيال اللي بيستخدموه. هو في المحمية طبيعي، الشجرة دي طالعة في المحمية زي المنجروف. بس المنجروف في البحر والشجر الأراك ده في البر.
There is still abundant beauty under the water at the same area, treasures that cannot predict watching them elsewhere but here. Clownfish and turtles are just a few examples of the plethora of other existing creatures that are incomparable.
هنا شعاب نارية، في شعاب صخرية، في يعني شعاب جميلة مش ممكن ان انت تلاقيها في مكان تاني. برضو أسماك، هنا في أسماك برضو جميلة، في دولفينز، في سلاحف، في كل حاجة هنا موجودة في خليج نبع. يعني هنا في أسماك كتير جدا، بيشي ترومبيتا اللي هي سمكة خرمان، دي برضو زي سمكة البراكودا كده برضو. في هنا اللي جميل جدا بقى قرش حوتي. قرش حوتي هنا موجود هنا في المنطقة، حوالي طوله 15 متر تقريبا، حاجة عملاقة، بس هو مش أنواع القروش الخطر.
Beside this prettiness, the area is categorized as a premium place for tranquility and relaxation. ولاء غانم، AUCTV.
Lion Tamer started to make circus performance at home to entertain fans during the lockdown and the pandemic of COVID-19. More in the next report with Minna Farouk.
In a house in Aguza neighborhood, East Cairo, female lion Laura has been joining her tamer Ashraf al-Helu in making performances at home to keep entertaining fans after the coronavirus lockdown.
لارا دي فيميل أسد أفريقي مولودة عندي، عمرها 3 سنين ونص. الفكرة جات لي في شم النسيم، يعني كان الدنيا برضو كانت قافلة بسبب كورونا، فيروس كورونا المستجد الظهور، والدنيا وقفت خالص تماما. فاليوم ده أصلا يعني كانت أول مناسبة في الفترة بتاعت الغلق بتاعت الدولة كلها. يوم مهم عندنا في السيرك، بنحضر له قبليها يعني، فبيبقى فيه زحمه، بنعمل اكتر من كذا حفله، فطبعا كلنا زعلانين، مفيش عروض، مفيش يعني حتى الحيوانات كمان كانت متاثره نفسيا. الاشبال بيجوا البيت هنا دايما عشان ده بيبقى جزء تاني من التدريب. عملت بروفا الاول، خلي بالك حضرتك في البيت، وعملت جزء من العرض ورحت منزله على السوشيال ميديا للناس، وكتبت عشان طبعا الدنيا واقفه والكلام ده كله. فانا بقول لكم كل سنه وانتم طيبين وما تزعلوش، السيرك هيفتح والدنيا هتمشي وكل حاجه.
After the coronavirus outbreak, El Helwa has moved most of the lines from the circus to a park on the outskirts of Cairo in order to protect their physical and psychological health.
سيبنا عدد قليل في السيرك، قاعدين في الكيجات بتاعتهم في الاقفاص، بس برضو الاقفاص مهيئه اللي هم يقعدوا فيها فتره طويله جدا، وبقيه الحيوانات نقلناها في البارك عندنا في الارض على طريق اسكندريه الصحراوي، عشان يعيشوا الحياه بتاعتهم اللي هي الطبيعيه بقى، مساحات مفتوحه شويه والكلام ده كله.
As a lion tamer, El Helwa faces a lot of challenges, but his love for lions is what keeps him going and makes him encourage other people to do the same.
الصعوبات لو حيوان عندي تعب او وعي، دي بتبقى مجهود فظيع وارهاق وعدم نوم وقلق، وطبعا حياته طبعا مهمه عندي جدا، فهو ده الارهاق اللي ممكن اشوفه، او الحاجه الصعبه اللي ممكن تعدي عليا. ناس كتير بتخش بتبقى فاكره الحيوانات بتتعذب او بتتضرب، بس لما بتلاقي المعامله بتاعتنا معاهم والعرض ماشي ازاي، بينبهروا وبيحبوا السيرك وبييجوا كتير. فانا طموحاتي ان هم يغيروا فكره عن السيرك طبعا، والناس تزوروا كتير وتشوفوا، عشان دي ثقافه يعني بتعلم حتى الاطفال ازاي اللي ممكن البني ادم يتعامل مع حيوان حتى لو كان مفترس بحب، مش بعنف. عشان في اطفال كتير تلاقيهم في الشارع بيضربوا كلب، بيضربوا قطه، بيعذبوهم، بيجيبوا كلب في البيت او قطه يعذبوهم حتى لو سلحفاه صغيره.
The coronavirus has stopped many businesses, but it has not managed to stop El Helwa from following his passion and keeping entertaining his fans. This is Minna Farouk from AUCTV.
The first football team for people with cerebral palsy in Egypt. More in the next report on their ambitions for the team with Salma Ali.
For the first time in Egypt, a football team for cerebral palsy is established, aiming to participate in world and continental tournaments and change how the society looks at them.
الفريق ابتدى من حوالي 2018 بس وبعد كده احنا طالبنا بتأسيس الاتحاد، اتحاد للعبة وكده، والحمد لله تأسس اتحاد للعبة، وقدرنا ان احنا نجمع اكتر من 20 شخص يمارسوا اللعبة كل اسبوع، وهدفنا ان احنا نجمع اكبر عدد من الاشخاص ذوي الشلل الدماغي. الناس مش عارفه شلل الدماغ، حتى انا شخصيا في لغايه مثلا اول العشرينات ما كنتش اعرف يعني ايه شلل دماغ.
لو هنختصر الفريق بيمثل ايه، فالفريق بيمثل لي فكر،
يعني بيدينا ثقه في نفسنا ان احنا نقدر نعمل اي حاجه.
حلم عمري،
ربع احلامي ان انا عايز اوصل لاعلى مستوى في النادي.
الحياه العمليه ان احنا نتواصل مع الناس بشكل دائم، ونشيل فكره ان هم اللي احنا من ذوي الاعاقه او احنا اخرين.
بيمثلني ترفيه، تغيير مود، حاجه جديده بعملها في الاسبوع يعني.
وهدفنا ان المساواه واتاحه الفرص للاشخاص ذوي الشلل الدماغي ان هم يلعبوا كوره، بغض النظر بقى ان هو بيعرف يلعب كوره ولا لا، هو اهم حاجه ان هو ينزل. فلا انت بتنزله بتنزله من البيت، فاول ما بينزل من البيت فبيركب مواصلات، فالناس بتبتدي تاخد بالها ان في اشخاص ذوي اعاقه معانا. وبعد ما بينزل فبيجي الملعب، فمن خلال الملعب بيتعلم حاجات كتير اكتر، بيتعلم القدرات، ممكن المهارات اللي هو بيتعلمها من خلال الملعب ممكن ينقلها لحياته الشخصيه، فتكون الصداقات، ان هو يكون متشاف، ان هو ما يتكسفش.
حلوه الكوره تطلع من رجلي يا رياض بسرعه.
فانت ازاي بتدور ان هم يندمجوا في المجتمع بشكل يساعدهم ان هم ينبسطوا ويخرجوا الطاقات بتاعتهم والقدرات بتاعتهم. التمرين الثالث على ما اعتقد يعني من بعد الكورونا. كنت بحاول نعمل حاجات اونلاين ظريفه، كنا بنحاول نشارك مع الاتحادات اللي بقى اونلاين، نتكلم الافكار بتاعتنا ازاي نبلورها اصلا، وازاي نقدر يعني في استراتيجي ان احنا ننشر اللعب على مستوى مصر. فده الفتره اللي فاتت كنا بنعمله يعني.
طموحاتي ان انا اكون ذا قوه في الفريق،
اكون دولي،
ونفسي انا البس تيشيرت المنتخب وانا في المنتخب.
بالنسبه للفريق اللي احنا نوصل لاي للمنافسات العالميه والدوليه والقاريه وننافس في كل البطولات العالميه والدوليه.
طموحاتي طبعا لها اكتر من مجال، وانا مع الفريق طبعا بتمنى ان الفريق ينشر ثقافه التعامل مع ذوي الاعاقه عامه كلهم في مصر، وخصوصا فئه الشلل الدماغي، وكمان يكون كل الشعب المصري عنده وعي وثقافه ان هو ازاي يقدر يدعم الناس دول، ويدعمهم بالفكر والوعي اكتر من التعاطف، لان ده هيغرس القيم في كل الاجيال.
طموحي ان انا ابقى كويس في مجال المهني بتاعي، انا محاسب، وان شاء الله بسعى ان انا ابقى مدير مالي بعد كده ان شاء الله.
طموحاتي ان انا اعمل تغيير حتى صغير في المجتمع او في نفسي او في البيت اللي انا فيه.
انا حلمي ان انا ابقى لعيب كوره زي اللي بيظهروا مثلا في التلفزيون زي محمد صلاح وكده يعني.
Egypt's international exhibition is hosting Turathna Fair, gathering hundreds of handicrafts projects. The effect of COVID-19 has impacted them, so they are trying to getting back and finding more audience for their products. More in the next report with Nuran Noor.
Throughout history, art and handicrafts have always been an integral part that reflects the Egyptian culture and heritage. Turathna Fair, in its second edition, comes to support handicraft manufacturers by opening the outlets to market their products and revive Egyptian craft heritage. From all over Egypt, more than 600 craftsmen are displaying their products to the public. All the crafts you can think of are here: pottery, handmade carpets, lanterns, Sinai and Nubian products, accessories, and even more.
احنا التراث السيناوي دخلناه في الحديث، جددنا بعد ما كان عندنا التوب بتاعنا اللي هو توب الست البدويه في يومها العادي ومناسباتها، فاحنا قمنا بتطويره، دخل في الملابس، تعتبر مصدر دخل للاسره السيناويه، الست بتشتغل وهي في بيتها، فاحنا كده تراث، حرفه تستمر، دخل للاسره.
بنشتغل في البوز ده بقالي 35 سنه بشتغل فيها. بنروح نجيب الغب من اماكن بعيد، من الاسماعيليه، البحيره، اسكندريه. بنشتغل جميع انواع الاشكال بالنسبه للسلال. الشعب المصري عامه بيرجع دايما للشيء اللي هو القديم، بيلجأ له تاني. وبعدين دي حاجات كلها حاجات صحيه، لان حاجات طبيعي، لا بلاستيك ولا كلام من ده. لو حطيت فيها اي حاجه ما تعفنش ولا يحصل لها حاجه.
Over the past decades, the Egyptian handicrafts market has been suffering from a huge regression in the number of working craftsmen. One of the reasons behind this regression is the international competition and low-cost imported products. In addition to the marketing barriers, especially for those coming from far governorates. Such exhibitions play a role in spreading awareness about the Egyptian crafts that might be unknown to many of us.
الصوابة بتبدأ من أول ما باخد الخام بتاعي من القاهرة، مستلزمات التشغيل ومستلزمات الإنتاج بتاعتي، وأروح سينا وأشتغل وأرجع أجي سينا تاني للتسويق. أنا وغيري وكل المنتجين في شمال سينا أو جنوب أو أي محافظة تانية بيحتاج للعاصمة لتسويق منتجه.
توقف المعارض فترة 6 شهور، والمعارض دي هي يمكن الأكبر منفذ لتسويق منتجات الحرفيين، فده أثر جامد قوي عليهم. المعرض بيعتبر فرصة كبيرة قوي إن احنا للعارض أو الحرفي إن هو يسوق المنتجات دي، وده بيخلي العارض إن هو يقدر يحتفظ بالعمالة بتاعته اللي هي بتصنع المنتجات، يقدر يشتري الخامات عشان يكتر المنتجات اللي بيعملها. بدون تسويق ما فيش كل الحاجات دي، والحرف مهددة بالانصراف.
This year is totally different, as the fair is organized under the circumstances of COVID-19 pandemic. All over the fair, you can notice some of the precautions taken and visitors wearing masks. Most of the small projects and enterprises have been severely impacted by the current pandemic. Many of the craftsmen have been out of work, and a huge unsold inventory has piled up, especially with the less demand on products and deficiency of raw materials.
مع أزمة كورونا بقى يعني جينا قفلنا، يعني احنا بشكل تام قفلنا، يعني الناس قعدت في البيت وكلنا قعدنا في البيت وما فيش لا سياحة ولا بنشتغل ولا بنقدر حتى كنا نتقابل، يعني ان هو حتى تفتحي مكان او كده، فقفلنا بكل الاشكال يعني.
قعدنا مدة جامدة ما اشتغلناش، كان الشغل في المخزن مركون مفيش. ولكن المعرض ده طبعا لما جه عرفنا على ناس تانية. طبعا في ناس تانية كانوا عايزين مثلا يسووه او كده، بدأ مثلا الاقبال يجي علينا شويه بشويه، ولكن لسه برضه العمل يعني ما اتحركش قوي.
احنا ما عندناش مكان بنعرض فيه، يعني الحاجات كلها اللي بنعرضها بتبقى على صفحتنا على الفيسبوك. وقت الكورونا كان السوشيال ميديا مستخدمه بشكل اكبر من الزهق، يعني الناس ما بتنزلش، فبقى شغلنا بيتشاف وبيتعرض. واحنا كمان عندنا يعني لما حد بيطلب حاجه بنقعد بنشتغل فيها وبعد كده بنوصلها له لغايه عنده مجانا وكل حاجه، والتوصيل والتركيب وكله، فالموضوع بيبقى ابسط شويه يعني الحمد لله.
The handicraft sector doesn't require huge investments compared to other sectors. Egypt enjoys a competitive advantage in different art crafts, and supporting the Egyptian craftsmen and their products is our responsibility to help them enhance and grow. Nur Noor, AUCTV.
Natalie Nasreddin, an AUC alumna, has been selected by Forbes Middle East in its list of 30 under 30 young innovators. More in the next report with Mirna Abu Aita.
Natalie Nasreddin is one of the excelling women in the research field. She's currently a postdoctoral research associate at Washington University in the School of Medicine. Natalie was an AUC alumna, graduated in 2013 from the biology department, where she found her passion in research and later on in cancer research in specific.
What's very special about AUC is that even early on during your career, your academic career, you get introduced to scientific research, which you rarely find in any other institution, whether in the US or other Arab countries. So I feel like I discovered my love for research at AUC. All along, I thought I wanted to become a medical doctor, but when I was at AUC, I knew that I wanted to do research instead of medicine. And that's a mentality that has to be challenged a lot in the Middle East, because everyone that goes into biology thinks the only way to get a successful career is through medicine and not through research, while we do all the breakthroughs through research and we complement each other as medicine and research.
She decided to pursue her career in cancer after her training in Egypt Cancer Hospital.
The pathology department, they were dissecting a kidney tumor, and it was so big, so I assumed it was like a young adult, and it was only a 3-month-old patient. So that's when I decided I want to do research. I want to try to help as much as possible behind the closed doors in the lab. This is where I discovered like I really want to go into cancer research.
Natalie recently got selected as one of the young innovators for Forbes Middle East 30 under 30, honoring her NGO Pink Steps, which aimed to promote a healthy lifestyle for breast cancer survivors in Lebanon.
This also came while I was at AUC. In one of the cancer courses, it was cancer epidemiology, we had a professor called Dr. Firth. She came to our class. She's a physician and she has her own fitness clinic. So besides prescribing medications and diagnosing the patients, she tailors a physical exercise regimen for each patient. So it helps speed up the recovery, it helps them to boost their immune system, it helps them better with sleeping, and this is what empowers the patients to feel like they're still strong, they're still fit, they shouldn't just sit at home. So immediately I thought when I went back home to Lebanon that I need to do what Dr. Firth was doing in Georgetown. So I also won the Fulbright Alumni Community Action Grant, and I started for the first time in Lebanon an exercise and fitness and mental health support group for breast cancer survivors, which is Pink Steps.
Natalie wanted to address every young scientist to start giving back to the community in every possible way.
So it was an amazing feeling to be featured in Forbes 30 under 30, but what was the most important to me is that I wanted to use this platform to spread the message to all of the healthcare workers and the science young researchers, and especially women in science and women in the healthcare field, to make sure that they, even if they are serving the community, if they are working in science and medicine, serving the community would be very fulfilling, and we are the people who know the most what's lacking in the healthcare field and what the patients suffer from, and what they would love that someone would offer for them. So I felt like this was the ideal platform to encourage young scientists and especially female scientists and healthcare workers to try to do their own initiatives, try to serve their community, and try to answer the needs that the patients need in this field.
Natalie is using her platform to raise awareness for breast cancer.
Every young female has to do the self-breast exam once a month. And then since mammograms, you can only start them at the age of 40, there are a lot of people who are getting cancer at their 30s, 20s, and it's usually more aggressive when it's younger. And plus, it's very important to know if they have any family history. They have to do these checkups and consult with their physicians. And sometimes there are some genetic tests that they could do to know if they are at risk. So it's very important to know, like, it's something that we shouldn't ignore.
Merna Abu Aita, AUCTV.
COVID-19 has forced a wife, mother of two, who is working in the finance sector to work as a selling vendor for food in the street to support her family after her husband, who's working as engineer, work has been suspended due to the pandemic. The new shift career helped the couple to support their financial system. More in the next report with me, Rihab Ismail.
أنا دينا العالم، أنا بشتغل سينيور تكنيكال أوفيس كوردينيتور في هيوج أورجانيزيشن. متجوزة بقالي 10 سنين وعندي بنوتين.
أنا اسمي إنجي رفعت، عندي 38 سنة وأم ل3 أطفال. كنت شغالة في الشركة بتاعت جوزي، شركة ملابس أطفال، مديرة علاقات عامة. طبعا الوضع لما تأثرنا بالكوفيد 19 اضطرينا نبحث عن مجال تاني للمكسب. يعني
كوفيد 19 والكولابس اللي حصل في العالم كله، شركات كتيرة قررت ان هي تقفل، وجوزي اصلا فريلانسر مهندس بيشتغل في باور ستيشنز، كان بيشتغل لغايه قبل الكورونا وبعد كده السايتس كلها وقفت. وعشان اقدر ان انا نكمل حياتنا بالكوميتمنتس اللي عندنا، فكرت في موضوع عربية الكبدة، لأن كتير من أصحابي كانوا بيقولوا عليا أكلي حلو جدا، وإن أنا I should consider بقى إن أنا أشتغل حاجة ليها علاقة بالأكل.
هي شاطرة جدا في الأكل وأنا نفس القصة، فاقترحت عليا إن إحنا نعمل عربية أكل.
دخلنا على اليوتيوب، قعدنا اتفرجنا على فيديوهات كتيرة جدا، ازاي اعمل عربيه الكبده، ايه الحاجات اللي انا محتاجاها عشان اعملها، اجيب الماتيريال بتاعتي والاكويبمنت منين. كان بقى في قدامنا التشالنج الاكبر، اجوازنا.
جوزي دايما يقول لي بيدعمني ويقول لي اعملي اكل، الاكل حلو جدا، ليه الناس كمان ما تستفدش من الموضوع ده.
اقتنع جدا بالفكره، خاف عليا جدا طبعا من الشارع، مش سهل وقفه ست في الشارع، بس هو عارفني. التشالنجز التانية اللي هي أصعب بكتير جدا من التشالنجز بتاعت الشارع بالنسبة لي، إنك أنتي تقدري توفقي بين كل ده. أنا بشتغل من البيت، عندي بنتين صغيرين، عندي زوج، عندي ريسبونسبيلتيز بتاعت البيت نفسها اللي ما بتخلصش.
أنا بالنسبة لي التحديات كانت صعبة جدا عليا، لأن زي ما قلت لحضرتك أنا عندي 3 أولاد، وتقريبا طول الوقت أنا معاهم. في كلام بيتقال منهم هم صغيرين، بس بيقولوا لي كلام كده تحسي ان يعني في حد بيطبطب عليكي، بيقول لك احنا معاكي يا ماما، ربنا يوفقك. دي يعني سبورت جامده جدا.
انا عندي مينلي العربيه كبده وسجق، كبده سجق اسكندراني، وفي كبده وسجق دبس رمان، وعندي سجق مفروم.
انا شغاله هنا جنب دينا على الجريل، اي مشاوي قلبك يحبها انا بعملها. كفته، برجر، شيش طاووق، حواوشي، كفته فراخ.
طبعا وقفة الشارع مش سهلة أبدا، انت بتقابلي ناس من جميع الفئات، من جميع الأعمار، بتاخدي كلمة كويسة وبتاخدي قصادها كلمة مش كويسة. طبعا احنا ما بنردش على السلبيات، الإيجابيات بتطلعنا لقدام.
المكان اسمه عك وفي الشارع، بس هو تحس ان انت بتاكلي اكل نظيف بتاع البيت. دي حاجة مختلفة، يعني أكل بيتي في الشارع.
بحب اجي اكل عندهم عشان هم بيعملوا كل حاجه نظيفه. الماتيريال انا عارفه هم جايبين الماتيريال ازاي، وعارفه هم جايبين الحاجه نظيفه ازاي، فانا واثقه وانا باكل.
اكيد اكتر ساندوتش بحبه في المكان يعني اكيد الكبده والسجق الطبيعيين.
اكتر حاجه بحب اكلها عندهم كل حاجه تقريبا، كل المنيو، كل حاجه بيعملوها حلوه جدا.
يعني نفسنا ان احنا ننجح وان الناس تحبنا وان احنا نتعرف.
نفسي المشروع ينجح، وإن شاء الله أنا متأكدة ومتفائلة خير إنه هينجح أنا وصاحبتي دينا.
A smart T-shirt have the ability to detect the physical violence for kids in schools is an Egyptian product. This product is made by 4 students as their graduation project. More on their innovation with Sarah Sadiq.
الفكره بتاعت المشروع هو ان احنا بنعمل سمارت تي شيرت بيقدر ان هو يعمل ديتكشن للفيزيكال فايلنس اللي ممكن يتعرض له الاطفال، وبيبدا يعمل ريبورتنج ان ريل تايم ومن غير اي انتر اكشن من ناحيه الطفل على موبايل ابلكيشن عند البيرنت سايد، بحيث ان هو يبدا الاب يتصرف او ياخد الاكشن السريع تجاه ان ابنه اتعرض لده، ويبدا يبقى كمان عارف انه حصل كده فيبدا ان هو يتصرف معاه بناء على ده. الجهاز بيعمل ده ازاي او التيشيرت بيعمل ده ازاي؟ عن طريق ان هو بيعمل ديتكشن شويه او بيحلل الحركه بتاعه الطفل، بيبدا يتعرف على شويه اكتيفيتيز زي انه ممكن يكون الطفل اتعرض ان هو وقع او حصل له بوشنج او شيكينج او هيتنج، وبيبدا ان هو يعمل ريبورتنج بناء على الالجوريزم اللي جواه، وبيبدا يعرف ان هو اتعرض لبولينج اكتيفيتي او فايلنس اكتيفيتي او لا، او يعمل ريبورتنج.
الفكره جات لنا ازاي؟ واحنا بنحضر للجرادويشن بروجكت بتاعتنا، كان في نفس الوقت ده يونسكو كانت عامله كامبين عشان الفيزيكال فايلنس اللي بيتعرض ليه الاطفال في المدارس، فمن هنا جات لنا الفكره، قلنا ليه ما نعملش مشروع او بروجكت يساعد في حل مشكله العنف الجسدي اللي بيتعرض ليه الاطفال في المدارس.
المشروع أخد فترة سنة، بداية من فكرة الايديا بتاعتنا ان احنا نطلع الايديا نفسها لحد ما وصلنا للريل ديمو بتاعنا. اصعب وقت مرينا بيه ان احنا نقدر نفرق ما بين الديلي اكتيفيتيز اللي بيمارسها الطفل في يومه العادي والفيزيكال فايلنس اللي يتعرض له. المقارنة دي بالنسبة لنا كانت صعبة وكانت محتاجة جهد كبير.
اول حاجه احنا ما عندناش الاويرنس بحجم المشكله اصلا، لان نسبه كبيره من الاطفال اللي بتتعرض لعنف جسدي في المدرسه مش بتقول لاهلها في البيت. دي اول حاجه ان احنا هنعمل اويرنس. تاني حاجه ان الطفل اللي بيضرب او الطفل اللي بيتضرب كتير جدا ما بيبقاش عايز اهله يعرفوا عشان بيخاف من العقاب، فدي تاني حاجه ان الطفل هيخاف ان هو يتعاقب، فده هيساعد في حل المشكله بنسبه كبيره.
اللي احنا عايزين نخلي الديفايس او الشيب بتاعتنا تبقى اصغر حجم ممكن، وفي نفس الوقت ان احنا عايزين نخلي الجهاز نفسه يبقى مور انتليجنت او يبقى ذكي كفايه ان هو يقدر يفرق لي بين الديلي اكتيفيتي والبولينج اكتيفيتي عشان نقدر نوصل لنواتج احسن من اللي احنا وصلنا لها في المشروع.
الفيوتشر تشالنج بالنسبه لنا ان احنا ازاي نقنع المدارس ان احنا نقدم لهم سوليوشن لده، وان هم يقتنعوا ان فعلا عندهم بولينج، وان الاطفال بتمارس مع بعض البولينج، ان المدارس مش بتعترف بحاجه زي كده. حاجه تانية ان ازاي اقنع البيرنتس ان السوليوشن بتاعنا هو سيف 100% على جسم الطفل بتاعه، ان احنا محققين عليه الستاندرد بتاعه السيفتي، وان احنا ما بيحصلوش اي سايد افكت للتيشيرت ده على جسمه.
Thank you so much for all our reporters for these interesting reports. Wait for us in the next segment with interview with Vice President Ayman Abdel Latif. Stay tuned. Hello and welcome to our show again. And now we have an interesting interview with VP Ayman Abdel Latif, Vice President for Transformation, Planning and Administration at AUC. Thank you for joining us.
Hello, Rahab. Thank you for having me.
So 2020 is completely different year, and of course somehow AUC was ready and had the readiness in terms of the digital transformation and so on, so we survived the last semester. So what was the strategy when working on supporting the online facilities for students, staff and faculty?
No, it's you're absolutely right. I mean, 2020 was a year to remember. So we were lucky in that we had done a lot of investments in the area of digital transformation and IT in general, and our focus was to make sure that we had accessibility across the board to all of our audiences and our stakeholders, and make sure that number one, the connectivity and the bandwidth on the infrastructure side was there, that we had the right systems in place. So for example, a good example is, I think everybody by now is familiar with Zoom. And we invested immediately in Zoom and got that to work properly and integrated that with the rest of our systems to make sure that, again, accessibility is available for our back-end systems, because not only did we have to cater for the online learning, which was a big part, the primary part after all, and our mission, but also for work from home. So we had to make sure that people had the devices, whether be it their mobile phones or laptops, connectivity would be there, systems are there, but also security, because the more you have online and exposed to the internet, the more risk you run. So we were very fortunate that we had done all the due diligence up front, made many of the investments as we tried to transition to the online world, and did all of those very early on and made sure that we were able to deliver on our mission. I think we more than survived. I think we did this in a very successful way.
So how you assess the situation now? We are about 2 months after the start of this fall semester, so we knew that every 2 weeks you assess the situation as AUC board, and you to see whether we are on the right track, we have to increase the online or we have to reduce the online. So how you assess the situation now? Are we on the same track, or maybe you are expecting different decisions very soon?
So at this point, I mean, you're absolutely right. We're continuously assessing whether we should dial back or increase the number of or the presence on campus. Our objective and our goal is to try and provide as normal an experience for our students and for our faculty, of course, but primarily for our students, to get them to benefit from the face-to-face and in-campus experience. Having said that, we have a primary duty to ensure the safety and health of all our stakeholders. So again, we continuously monitor. We have a dashboard where we have thresholds that we share with the best of the higher education institutions across the world, and also leveraging the recommendations from the CDC and the WHO around when to come for more on campus and when to increase the online. We're ready for either scenario. We are currently at around 10, maybe a little bit less than 10% on campus versus online. Again, it's taking a little bit of a shift in attitude and a shift in approach, because previously we had been all campus and then we switched to online only. This is the first time that we're doing a blended approach, a hybrid approach, and so we're having to do a little bit of both. But we are ready, once those thresholds are met, to either dial back or increase our presence on campus.
Okay, this leads me to a question. You are talking about the changing of the approach, and especially for the leadership at AUC. So I think it's interesting to talk about your new position, and you are currently holding the responsibilities of the planning and administration along with the digital transformation. So what is linking all these three fields from your point of view? Why we are putting one person in charge of these three things?
So this comes at a time when we are really trying to focus on being customer-centric, and our customer here is the stakeholders, so primarily the students, but also the faculty and the staff, also our alumni, parents. So just being very laser-focused on delivering the value that we need to deliver to our stakeholders. We have to be super responsive, we have to be very aware and looking at what we're delivering, and every decision is taken with from the point of view of the students and point of view of our stakeholders. So all the things that you just mentioned come under the umbrella of a shared service. So those are services, be it HR or information technology or procurement. These are all services that cater to all the other functions across the university. We're trying to bring all of this together. We're trying to make sure that we are super customer-centric and that we're driving efficiency across all of our functions and operations, and equally important, if not more important, effectiveness. So we want to be sure that we're efficient, but more importantly, we want to be sure that we're effectively delivering on our mandate, which is ultimately delivering an incredibly great experience and education for our students.
Once you was appointed in this new position, or started to be responsible for the planning and administration, adding to the digital transformation, I do think that there were some 2 or 3 topics have like very priority and very importance that you have to start working on them. So can you share this with us?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So again, because customer centricity is our #1 objective out of all of this, we started out by going to our customers, right? So I started something called the listening tour. And it's something we used to do in some of my previous jobs, where you'd go out, you'd identify who the right stakeholders are, and you'd hold sessions to understand what the feedback is, understand what it is that we're doing well, but equally important, if not more important, what are the areas of improvement, what's not working well, how to go about fixing those. And so that I've been doing that, I've been engaged in that, and we're getting a lot of good feedback. It's something that I think will help us reorient ourselves. The other one is there's a lot of training. I'm a big believer in training and in gaining the vocabulary to describe the change. And so that's another one that I'm focused on, trying to get the right training for all the right stakeholders, especially on the staff side, and especially the functions under my jurisdiction. So these are, right off the bat, are some of the things that we're trying to get done. We're also going to be going out with some surveys to make sure, again, that feedback is well understood, and is we're trying to draw a baseline so we understand where we are today scientifically, a scientific approach as much as possible, where we are today, and then we can hit the targets or determine what the targets are, whether it's an improvement of X% or so on. But again, determining what the KPIs are to make sure that we are delivering on on the things that really matter, the things that really matter for our stakeholders, our students, our faculty and staff. I keep coming back to those three.
Talking again about our students, and some have about privacy concerns on the new COVID-19 tracing system via Wi-Fi. I know that you talked before that you are following all the ethical regulations according to using the internet and the Wi-Fi system, and maybe other institutions use it for simple things like sending us messages once we arrive in an area covered by this Wi-Fi network. But actually I talked to some students last week, and some said that we are a bit afraid that our movement will be tracked all the time inside the campus. Some said that we are a bit afraid that they could be tracing for our browsing history, for example, or our data inside our mobile phones. Some said whether this will be like the norm, even if all of us came back to campus or not. So how you reply to these concerns? And actually others said that we have to compromise our privacy in case, because we are in the pandemic and so on. So how you reply to this? How you think when you receive these concerns from students?
Yeah, no, I really appreciate this question, because I do know a lot of people do have privacy concerns, but here's the thing. So, for example, let me start with some of the things that just cannot happen. So, even if we wanted to, which we never would, but even if we wanted to, we cannot technically see what's in your browsing or in your laptop or in your that's just not physically possible with what we're doing. So the only thing that we are capable of doing is where we track not where you have been. That happens on the back end. Artificial intelligence takes care of that. But we do know, we are able to tell the proximity that you have been within 2 meters for more than 15 minutes in close contact with a known case. So let's say you let us know that, oh, by the way, I was on campus and on this day, and a couple of days from now, you suspect that you're not well. So you let us know that. Because my phone is Wi-Fi enabled, and I am logging onto the Wi-Fi network, all they're able to tell me is there was a case that was reported to us, and your device registers that you were in close contact for more than 15 minutes close to this case, period. That is the sum total of the information that we're able to tell. So we don't know where that happened. We don't know who that case was. And in fact, the only thing we know about you, about me in this case, is my device. And so we can send that. We have to go back, we figure out who that person is, and then we send an email saying, hey, we've tracked it back to a case. So having said all of that, in any situation where public health is concerned, there is a trade-off, as you rightly mentioned. And well, let me take a step back. It is an opt-out or an opt-in, but anybody who's not using the Wi-Fi is automatically outside of our system. We don't know anything about them. So if they're that uncomfortable, they have that right. I would suggest that we are no more at risk than on any given day. We're not actually collecting any more information than we used to, than any Wi-Fi system. If you go to Starbucks and you enable your Wi-Fi, they're collecting that same information. We have that information in the database. All we're doing is putting one and one together in a way that is absolutely legal and privacy compliant. We have to abide by the international regulations for privacy. And so again, I for one am always on the Wi-Fi. I have no fears, and in fact, I'm thankful for this system.
Okay, talking about COVID-19 the world somehow is expecting a second wave, maybe by mid-November or by the start of December. We are going in the winter, and some people could have symptoms for the normal flu, and they could be confused whether this is COVID-19 or not. And other countries have increasing numbers for COVID-19 now. So do we have a plan B for what if in case we are in a second wave of COVID-19?
Yes, it's actually a plan A. And plan A is to continuously monitor. We have the numbers in place, we have the dashboards in place, we have the detection in place, and we are constantly monitoring where our numbers are on the level of the state, so Egypt-wide numbers, and on our campus. And so we're constantly monitoring to see where we are against those numbers, and if we need to scale down and close the campus altogether and go back to completely online, or if it turns out that we have a good situation that's happening, we don't have an increase, a jump in the cases, fatalities are down to zero, overall we're doing well, we are gradually ready to also come back to campus, which is what we hope to do. But again, our number one concern will always be and continue to be the safety and health of our stakeholders, our students, our staff, and our faculty.
I think this is a great end for our report, that we only care about the safety and, of all the AUC community. So if you have a last message you want to tell to the students or the staff and faculty, what would you say?
I'd absolutely say that we're all in this together. Our number one priority is to ensure that we are providing the best possible academic outcomes, while at the same time academic, and that includes the experience, the on-campus experience, while safeguarding the health of our students, but also our faculty and our staff, some of whom are, as you can see, elderly and are more susceptible and more at risk than others. We're on it together. I'm sure we're going to come out the other end even stronger as an institution and community than we were coming into it. And stay safe, stay healthy, and congratulations on hopefully a wonderful semester to everyone.
Thank you so much, Vice President Ayman Abdulatif, Senior Vice President for Transformation and Planning and Administration at AUC, for being with us in this interview.
Thank you, Rahab. It's always a pleasure to be with you.
Thank you so much for joining us in this episode. That's the end of our episode today. Wait for more episodes from AUC TV. Stay safe.